Dr. Farley, as head of the ACC board and as head of the new fundraising committee, how much money have you raised? Not much, really. $26,000 at the spring fling. Well, I figure in 70 to 80 years, the ACC will make back the money you took away from the ACC, meaning $1.5 million. And who is forcing you to give some of that money back? Somebody in city government is making you, Dr. Farley, do what you don't want to do, which is to start giving back money to the ACC. It wasn't your idea. Dr. Farley, what would you do if a hospital, because the Department of Health is in charge of all the hospitals in the city, didn't have a medical director, had 2 doctors on staff, and 1 registered nurse? Wouldn't you close that hospital down because it has inadequate medical care? Well, let's apply it to the ACC. You're in charge of the ACC too, right? The ACC does not have a medical director, hasn't had one for a year. The ACC has 2 full-time vets. The ACC at last count had 1 vet tech. That is inadequate. That's actually gross negligence. The ACC does not provide medical care. Speaking of medical issues, Dr. Farley, why won't the DOH and the ACC produce the euthanasia report? Now, most of you gentlemen have read that report. I know you have. Dr. Coleman, you've read it. Bruce, you've read it. Now, that euthanasia report was an investigation by the DOC about why the ACC keeps killing the wrong animals. And then that DOH discovered something they didn't want to discover, which is that the wrong people are doing the killing. You have to have certified vet technicians, euthanized vet technicians, to kill animals. You can't let some Joe Schmoes do it. That's state law. But as far as I know, you don't have the vet euthanized technicians. They have to be certified. That's the law. Now, for a long time, the ACC was telling me there never was an investigation, and I reminded him that there was. And then you said, well, it was never finalized. These were only recommendations by the DOH to the ACC. I know for a fact, Dr. Farley, that the DOH told the ACC what they had to do. Bruce, you remember that? Jay, you remember that? And the ACC was to stop killing animals by mistake and to stop allowing uncertified people to do the killing. If I were a politician, I'd close you down right now.
Can I give them like 3 minutes?
My name is Courtney Chandel. I've been working with Garo Alexanian, whom you may know as the founder of the Safety Net Surrender Prevention and Low-Cost Vet Mobiles program. And they've benefited the ACC immensely. As we all know, a much higher percentage of ACC pit bulls are euthanized than any other breed. Therefore, Garo and I propose a program which would specifically target this issue, which we believe will be successful. We have tentatively named the program Pits for Bits. In the communities where pit bulls are popular, these dogs are largely obtained from pet stores and neighborhood breeding. We propose to make ACC pit bulls available in these communities as a way of filling up those homes prior to purchase or breeding, making those venues unnecessary. Moreover, pre-spayed and neutered pit bulls adopted from the Pits for Bits program would be provided with 1-year free vet care, lifetime rabies vaccinations, microchipping with lifetime registration, and lost and found ID tag, all courtesy of the Vetmobile. Since the Vetmobile is already a huge hit in these communities, for its low-cost veterinary services, we have good reason to believe that using its outreach capabilities and locations may enable the development of a successful on-site pit bull adoption program. And this is with absolutely no cost to the ACC. Modern technology would permit on-site general and pre-adoption background checks. North Shore Animal League has tentatively agreed to lend their adoption trucks to Pits for Bits. Now all we need are the pits and the collaboration of the ACC. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Chris.
Hello, everyone. everyone, my name's Lisa. I'm here today to talk to you about New York Animal Care and Control, also known as the ACC of NYC. The organization's mission statement is, and I quote, "to promote and protect the health, safety, and welfare of pets and people in New York City," end quote. These shelters claim to care for the animals that come through their doors. Let me tell you about the ACC's so-called care. According to multiple reports, some of these animals that land in these shelters sometimes enter a world of incompetent management, filth, and questionable practices with deadly consequences. Let's start off with the fact that the phone numbers for the ACC shelters are not even listed. To make matters worse, when you actually find one of these numbers, you're not always connected to a human being. You have to follow a series of time-wasting prompts, hit zero again and again, all while throwing away valuable time that could save an innocent life. Let's not forget little one-year-old lab mix Sammy. He was in ACC shelter in Brooklyn because of something as petty as a cold he caught in filthy conditions. Somebody was calling with hopes to adopt him, but that person's attempt to saving Sammy's life was repeatedly put on hold because we're told someone on the other line was more important. And who was on the other line? Someone sorting out a freezer delivery to the shelter, a freezer to hold more dead animals. Sammy, God rest his soul, did not make it. The shelter destroyed him. How about putting some volunteers on the phone lines? The Harlem ACC claims to be overflowing with volunteers, but when I know firsthand, when I visited that shelter, I did not hear that phone ring once, and I was there for 3 hours. Are they shutting off the ringers? Are people even getting connected? Or are they frustrated by hitting zero time after time after time? The phone situation is ridiculously inefficient, and animals are dying because of it. Outside of the phone number catastrophe, there are reports of dogs being left in ACC cages for 3 days at a time, sitting in their own feces and urine with little room to move around. The shelters are poorly sanitized and improperly ventilated, perfect breeding grounds for germs and disease. Furthermore, there are reports that ACC shelters are killing dogs for things as minor as kennel cough, which is the human equivalent of the common cold. 10 days of antibiotics is often all it takes to treat the kennel cough. Regardless, these shelters will choose to kill the animals instead. Is there an incentive for killing innocent dogs here? What is going on? Now let's get to some of the personnel in the shelters. Of course, there are many qualified caring people who dedicate their time, but there are also some who should never be trusted managing these poor pets' lives. There are pictures of employees reporting pictures of themselves online, quoting they're bored while they are supposed to be working and cleaning the shelter. They are reportedly unable to properly euthanize the dogs, the point that they suffer in their own feces before passing away. Just as hospital patients deserve nurses and doctors who care for their well-being, these dogs, who did not deserve to be placed here in the first place, deserve caretakers that truly care about their lives.
Thank you very much for letting me speak. As you can probably tell, I actually have more in common probably with you guys than with these people that are like 97% women. I find it actually kind of weird that all the people who care enough to take a day off from work and everything are women, and yet the whole board of directors. Statistically, that's kind of weird.
It's really weird.
The other thing I want to say is that the one woman with power, of course, who is here, Ms. Spank, of course, has a 6-figure reason to be here.
That's right.
And I do want to say, Ms. Spank, big fan over here. Big fan. Your style of management, which combines a veil of secrecy along with squashing dissent, I'd say it's Gaddafi-esque. I don't know what's that better. It is. It's fascist. I love what you do. I especially love your recent edict, which disallowed the volunteers from getting access to the computer database to the dogs. I don't know if you guys are aware of this.
Yes.
Excellent. With this, basically because they don't want they were leaking information to Facebook because they don't want to get so many calls about people who want to adopt dogs. This is actually a genius move because what it does is enables Julie and her staff to spend their time doing things other than caring about and saving dogs, which I don't know exactly what that is, but I'm sure there's other reasons. My advice to you, by the way, is as you can see, Facebook is still going strong. There's still people finding ways of getting the dogs on. My advice would be to call Mark Zuckerberg. Tell him to close Facebook because obviously